Yay.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Goose Creek's Players Miracle on 34th Street. And celebrating the start of the season with us. Okay, so we have a couple little pointers. In between a couple scenes, the elves and their leader, Caden, are going to sing some Christmas carols, and we invite all of you to join along. Don't worry, they're easy. They're ones that everyone knows. Okay, so please, if you would, silence your cell phones now. Really, please silence your cell phones now. We had a phone ring during the performance this afternoon, so appreciate it if you can do that. Photography is, you're allowed to take pictures, but please do not use a flash and no video. Okay. All right, so tonight's performance is in 2 acts. Act 1 is 90 minutes and Act 2 is 40 minutes. There'll be a 15-minute intermission where we recommend that you take advantage of our concessions and buy some 50-50 raffle tickets. The more people that buy tickets, the bigger the pot is. And the way that normally works is we split the pot in half. Half goes to whoever the winner is, and the other half is for Goose Creek Players to use towards future productions, including the spring show of Cinderella the Musical. All right, and now, please enjoy the show.
It's a lovely day for the parade, Chris. I'm glad you suggested we come down and watch.
Yes, it's a beautiful way to begin the season.
Do you want to sit down somewhere to watch this long parade?
No, I think I'll stand, or maybe I'll go sit with those kids over there.
Oh, it's the best place to watch it from. It ain't a New York Christmas without the Macy's parade. And the children really do love it.
I think I remember seeing a 6-pack over on 30th Street. Might want to go check it out.
Oh, thank you. I'll get it right after the parade.
My dear woman, why are you digging through garbage cans? It is repulsive.
Because I find wonderful things in them. I can get money for this bottle. Every little bit counts. Plus, doing my Christmas shopping.
So, Christmas shopping?
Yeah. You would be surprised the wonderful treasures people throw away.
I do my Christmas shopping in the privacy of my own living room. The Home Shopping Club on Channel 8. I just telephone my order and use my credit card. I can't be bothered blowing through crowds at the store.
You ought to be bothered a little bit. My shopping costs a lot less than yours, and it's appreciated just as much. It's about the time and effort you put into it. That's how you show your love for your family, no matter how you do your shopping.
I like your spirit. A good Christmas spirit is a real joy.
Well, Christmas is always big bucks for the department stores. It's the season when they make up for the losses they have all year long.
Christmas is more than big bucks, Doctor. Christmas is the time of year that we should devote to pursuit of those things we avoid the rest of the year. Peace, goodwill, and helping others. What do you want for Christmas, Doctor?
I don't even think Santa Claus could get me what I want.
Try me.
Well, you say so. Maplewood's medical facility needs an X-ray machine. It could be helpful in so many situations, but it's very expensive.
You shall have it.
Chris, if I get that X-ray machine, I'll know you're Santa Claus.
Look under the tree on Christmas morning.
Chris, we've never really discussed your having to leave Maplewood. I want you to know how sorry I am. I did everything I could, but the board overruled me. They just won't allow us to keep anyone whom they've decided is mentally unsound.
But I passed all those tests, didn't I?
I know you did. I've argued for you all along, but I just can't justify what they call paranoid thinking. Even though you are not harmful to yourself or others, use the psychiatric jargon.
Because I'm Santa Claus.
Because you say you're Santa Claus.
But it happens to be true.
But the board Lord doesn't believe in Santa Claus. So you're out.
So, what happens now?
Maplewood has an arrangement with Mount Hope Sanitarium.
The rubber room.
For a public hospital, Mount Hope is a comfortable and charming place. There's entertainment, TV, and... Chris, do you have any money?
Well, yeah, I have, $53.
That won't get you very far. You're not a young man anymore. It won't be easy for you to earn a living. If you can't support yourself, you'll become a ward of the state and end up at Mount Hope anyway. Why not avoid the disagreeable experience of living on the street?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with me. If I go to the funny farm, I'll be hanged.
What choice do you have?
Well, the zookeeper at Central Park is a friend of mine. I think I can go stay with her. At least the reindeer don't doubt my sanity.
Oh, Chris, please.
Well, Doris, after 5 years, we have this play business working pretty well, don't you think?
Just as long as Mr. Macy's happy.
I think the Hello Kitty boat is better this year, Mother.
Yes, Susan. We fixed her eyes so they roll, which makes her look more alive.
Watch your mother now, Susan. You'll be able to handle this parade yourself by the time you're 10.
Would you believe 8?
Merry Christmas! Ho, 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 ho! Who's the sleigh? Ho, ho, ho! Let's go! Here's the reindeer! Ho, ho, ho! Good night, help me. Jingle bells!
Allow me, sir.
Oh,
It's
thank
all in the crack of the wrist.
you. Oh, you know, it never works right unless you oil it just a little bit.
You should be ashamed of yourself. And in front of the children. You're a disgrace to the uniform. Where's your Christmas spirit?
Oh, it's here. Right here. You gotta stay warm. Oh, warm.
Santa over there, Doris.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. Oh,
God, what do we do now?
How did we manage to get him? Shelley, see if you could get him into the sleigh.
How?
Get someone to help you shove, and tie him in if you have to.
oh, can you do this, sleigh six? Oh.
Mother, I don't think the people are going to like a Santa who's asleep.
He's not his twinkling self, that's for sure.
Santa, please wake up! That's not really Santa. He works for my mother at Macy's. If you want to see Santa, they're ringing bells on every street corner in the city. Those aren't real Santas.
We want to see Santa himself.
I suppose you believe in the Easter Bunny, too.
This looks like a golden opportunity to solve both your problems, Chris. I think they need a replacement on the sleigh. You could spread the Christmas spirit and pay the rent at the same time.
They haven't asked me.
You have to ask them. How can you sit and watch this? These children will be disappointed if there's no Santa.
Doctor, you surprise me. Is that Christmas spirit I'm seeing, or are you pretending for my sake?
No, I was thinking about what you said. Giving and sharing. Whether you are the real Santa or not, you could certainly make those children believe you are.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Pardon me. May I be of service?
I don't believe it. It's Santa Claus.
My pleasure, ma'am.
Shelley, it's a gift from, of course, from Santa Claus. Sir, you can see what our problem is here. Would you mind filling in for us in the role of Santa for this parade?
Well, I'm not in the habit of substituting for intoxicated imposters, but the role does fit me perfectly. Which way to the dressing room?
Shelley, get this man suited for the sleigh.
You bet. Right this way, so. And I'll take care of this.
Hello, Doris.
Hi, Fred. Susan's over talking to the elves. Do you think you could get her and take her somewhere? I've got so much going on right now that I don't have time to deal with all the crazy ideas I put in her head.
Don't worry. I overheard the conversation. It was just about the North Pole.
That's just what I mean. North Pole? North Pole? I appreciate you're taking care of Susan, Mr. Gailey, and I'm very glad the two of you get along so well. But we've been neighbors long enough for you to know that I have definite ideas about keeping her mind free from illusions. I've told you before, I will not have her believing in fairy tales, Mr. Gailey.
Why not, Mrs. Walker?
All right, Fred. I'm sorry for being so irritable, but I feel it's more important for her to understand reality. As a lawyer, I should think you would support that.
I didn't know you were raising a 7-year-old lawyer.
It isn't a fairy tale world we live in, Fred. She'll end up expecting that Prince Charming will come along and he'll... Well, Fred, you know that happily ever after just doesn't exist.
Are we talking about Susan or about you? Look, Doris, I'm sorry. I'm sure your divorce was painful, but you can't stay bitter about it forever. Not all men are going to let a woman down, and I don't think Susan's going to be any happier growing up to think so.
I was devastated, Fred. Thank you for all your help, but please, let me be Susan's parent.
Hey, Mom, the elves are better this year. Their costumes actually fit.
Don't worry, Doris. No one's going to make this kid's mind up for her.
Please join us as we say Santa Claus is coming to town. 3, 2, 1.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list and checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Welcome aboard. I'm Michelle Hamill. It's my responsibility to train the new members of Macy's family of employees. Now, here's a list of the toys we want you to push, Mr.
Kris Kringle.
Really? That's very clever.
It's been in the family for generations.
Ooh. Okay. Now, we are overstocked on these toys. So if a child wants something that we don't have, you should say, no, you might not like that. How about one of those new dolls from the Barbie movie instead? Understand?
Why not just give the children what they want?
Because it's Christmas, people will buy just about anything for the kids at Christmas. You can change kids' minds because they think you're really time to clear out our surplus inventory.
It's all economic spirit, huh?
Yes, and a Santa who helps move merchandise gets a little something extra in his Christmas stocking. Oh, now we mustn't keep the shovels. The children waiting.
Oh, hello, Sharon.
How did you know my name?
Because I'm Santa Claus. What do you like for Christmas?
I want a pink box of ribbons on the handlebars.
Well, you've been a very good girl, and I think that can be arranged.
Thanks a lot, Santa. What does it look like I made of money? You know, you should ask her if there's something else she'd like. Your store wants $125 for a bike like that. I checked.
Can you afford $55.65?
Sure.
Consumers Outlet over on 30th Street.
I can't believe this. Macy's Santa is sending me to another store?
It doesn't matter whether it's Consumers or Macy's, as long as it makes the children happy.
It's really good of you. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Okay. Well, hello, young man. And what would you like for Christmas?
I want a fire engine. That shit that has real hoses and squirts real water. And I promised not to squirt it in the house.
That's what you said last year about the Super Soaker.
But I really promised this time.
Okay. I accept your promise. But remember,
Why would you say that? It's been all over town and everybody sold out.
well, Bloomingdale's just got a shipment in. It's on the 4th floor, 3rd aisle from the left. $18.50, a marvelous bargain.
Bloomingdale's, huh?
Thank you for shopping at Macy's.
Well, to tell you the truth, I am actually on my way to Bloomingdale's. Your Santa recommended that to me.
He... What?
And let me tell you, I think it's amazing. Now that is the true Christmas spirit. He told me where I could get what my boy really wants. Merry Christmas.
What will Mr. Macy say about that?
Oh, this child just recently came to me from foster care. She's deaf, but she insisted that Santa Claus would know exactly what she was talking about. I hope you could pretend in some way. I'm so sorry. I don't know sign language. I can't translate for you. I think she might
She
want
wants a doll and a visit from her grandmother. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
Mad.
Tell me about it.
Me and my sister got into a fight. She made the phone go into my ear if I didn't get off it.
Yeah, kids like to tease each other, don't they? Well, the next time someone teases you, it's probably because they're unhappy inside. You'll see. It'll get better. Now, what would you like for Christmas?
Hey, iPhone!
I see it's going to get better right away.
Do I have to?
Try it anyway, for the sake of Macy's.
You know, of course, that this is ridiculous.
Why don't you believe in Santa Claus, Susan?
How did you know that?
I know a lot of things. What would you like to have for Christmas?
Nothing. Whatever I want, my mother will get for me, provided it isn't too expensive. I know you're just a person my mother hired to play the part of Santa Claus. But I must admit, you're a little better than most. I can't even see the straps holding your beard on. It looks real.
Well, it is real, and I'm real too.
Well, it was nice talking to you anyway, but I don't think to pretend to all these children that you're going to bring them what they want.
Maybe I will bring them what they want, and maybe I'll bring you what you want as well.
I'm sorry. She's a real hard sell, but thanks for trying anyway.
But thank you for bringing her to me. I enjoy working on the hard cases.
It's sad to see so much cynicism in a little girl like Susan.
I think what she needs is an infusion of imagination. Maybe you and I can work on it together.
Mother, something funny happened. There was a girl who couldn't hear in line, and the Santa spoke to her in sign language, and they sang a song together.
Susan, plenty of people speak other languages. I speak French, but that doesn't make me Joan of Arc. He's just a man I hired this week. And besides, even if there were a Santa Claus, I doubt he'd be working at Macy's. Now, I'm going to have you stand right over here for a little while I go speak to Fred. Fred, if you please, step this way. I just received Santa's employment record for my office. Perhaps you'd like to read it?
Name, Chris Kringle. Age, as young as my tongue and a little bit older than my teeth. Birthplace, North Pole. Next of kin, Donner, Dasher, Prancer, Dancer, Blitzen, Comet.
Does that convince you? I think you better take Susan home now. Apparently, I have a job to do.
Well, I do think that he's just a nice old man. All right, I stand corrected. Come on, Susan. Your mother has Christmas to manage.
Doris, this new Santa Claus is completely unacceptable. He refuses to push the backlog merchandise. And you're not going to believe this. He's sending our customers to buy toys at other stores. I'm not kidding. You've got to do something.
What a coincidence. I was on my way to do just that. Mr. Kringle, we've had a busy day, haven't we? Was it difficult for you?
Well, a new environment is sometimes quite trying, but I've enjoyed the children.
Well, perhaps you've been trying a little too hard.
What do you mean, Mrs. Walker?
Seems you haven't been following Miss Shellhammer's instructions.
Oh, you mean about pushing the surplus toys? Yeah. I decided not to do that.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I think it's dishonest. Why should children pay for Macy's mistakes?
That is not your decision to make, Mr. Kringle. And speaking of dishonesty, how do you explain this personnel card?
It's not dishonest.
But the things you put down on this form. We take our work seriously at Macy's, Mr. Kringle. We're not playing games. If you want to receive a paycheck, you need to put proper information down on your form.
Well, see, look, I signed it right down there about it.
Then you really think that you're Santa Claus?
Certainly not.
Oh, well, that's relief.
I know it for a fact.
Well, you're welcome to whatever delusions you choose to live by. But here at Macy's, we can't have a Santa who refers our shoppers to other stores. You can pick up your final check at the personnel department. I'm sorry it didn't work out.
Well, I find it ironic, Mrs. Walker, that you're firing Santa Claus for being Santa Claus. You're just trying to give the children what they wanted.
Macy's is in business, Mr. Kringle. We have to compete with the other stores. I don't want to argue. How about I authorize a week's severance pay for you? Now, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mrs. Walker, and I promise not to hold it against you on Christmas Eve.
Doris, Mr. Macy would like to...
I am perfectly capable of speaking for myself, Miss Shellhammer.
Is there a problem, Mr. Macy?
Yes, I will listen with great interest while you explain to me how it is that our Santa Claus has been sending our customers to other stores.
I take complete responsibility, Mr. Macy.
I instructed him to push the backlog stop. Mr. Macy.
Well then, who was it that instructed him to send our customers to Bloomingdale's for merchandise that we don't carry?
We don't know, sir.
My office has been flooded with phone calls, faxes, letters.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Macy, but I've handled
All of the messages of grateful appreciation from happy shoppers. Why, this is the greatest goodwill advertising gimmick in years. It's positively revolutionary. I can see the headlines now. The store with the real Christmas spirit. Macy's Santa recommends Bloomingdale's. This is a breakthrough advertising initiative for us, Mrs. Walker. The media will love it, and Macy's will reap a harvest of favorable publicity and goodwill.
I'm so glad you're pleased.
Yes, sir. This fellow is the very best Santa Claus that we've ever had. And there will definitely be something extra in both of your Christmas stockings this year. Well done, ladies.
This must not be Tuesday. After all, I'm still sleeping and dreaming.
It's Armageddon.
Huh?
I just fired him!
You did what?
You should see his personnel card. He's crazy. He actually thinks that he's Santa Claus.
Well, evidently, so does Mr. Macy.
I don't know what we're gonna do now.
Do you think Mr. Macy will fire us?
Maybe it's not too late. Kevin, can you have the operator page Kris Kringle?
Yes, ma'am. Kris Kringle to the toy department. Kris Kringle to the toy department.
Mrs. Walker, where's Santa? The line is stretching all the way to the winds.
And we're almost out of candy canes.
She fired him.
She fired Santa and little Christmas Rush. What about the children?
Mrs. Walker, as the shopkeeper of Elves Local number 10, I must lodge a formal grievance against management's capricious disrespect for the Christmas spirit.
All right, everyone. We are straightening the matter out right now.
Santa Claus goes we walk.
Oh, good grief. Just what I need. Striking odds.
You didn't have to page me, Mrs. Walker. I would have brought the suit back.
Put it back on.
Mr. Kringle, I owe you an apology. It appears I was a bit hasty.
Huh?
I was mistaken about your policy of sending shoppers to other stores. As a matter of fact, Mr. Macy likes it.
Well, that's not good enough, Mrs. Walker. Why should I come back to increase Macy's profits? Pushing toys is not what Christmas is all about. We spend so much time making things faster and shinier to beat our competitors, we forget about giving from the heart. I see no reason why I should contribute to that kind of commercialism.
So, you won't come back?
The union stands firmly behind you, Mr. Kringle.
Here we are, in the middle of Christmas rush. And I lose our Santa who's worked a miracle, all because I don't know how miracles work. It really is more than a matter of profit, Mr. Kringle. Can't you see that Macy's needs you? I need you. And the children need you. Please.
Yay! Not to mention saving 3 wage slaves from being fired.
Well...
Would you stay if we promise not to ask you to push her overstock? Just be the Santa you want to be. Just be yourself.
That I can do.
It's a masterful stroke, Miss Walker.
You wanted to see me, Mrs. Walker.
Yes, Miss Sawyer. As our vocational guidance counselor, I was hoping you could help me with a particular situation we have. There's a wonderful new Santa in our toy department this year.
That's very admirable, Mrs. Walker.
Not exactly. You know, he seems all right in every way, even a natural white beard. But he's actually convinced that he's Santa Claus.
Interesting.
I was hoping you could help the old fellow out a bit.
You mean he actually maintains his character outside of the work environment? Oh dear, this sounds like a classic case out of an abnormal psychology textbook. What other symptoms are there?
None that I know of.
A persistent delusion. Very bad sign. Very. This sort of thing is usually deeply rooted in a failure to have emotional needs fulfilled in childhood. So the subject tries to personify the image of affection and gift giving. What is the subject's name?
Kris Kringle.
You've got to be kidding.
I wish that I were. Oh, but please don't alarm him. He's a very valuable employee right now.
What would you like me to do?
Just come by and observe him a little, maybe arrange an interview. Keep it casual.
Leave it to me, Mrs. Walker. He'll never suspect that I suspect.
Are you Doris Walker?
Yes, may I help you?
Dr. Pierce. I'm the resident physician at the Maplewood home, where Kris Kringle used to live.
Oh, really? I think I'd like to talk to you.
I heard you hired Chris as Mrs. Santa Claus. I'm so glad you gave him a chance.
Now, who is he really, Dr. Pierce?
Oh, that's a good question. I've given it a lot of thought. He claims he's the real Kris Kringle, and if there really is a Santa Claus, he certainly fits the part.
You don't actually think that he's Santa Claus, do you?
I didn't say that. I merely imply that from a purely philosophical point of view, he could be Santa Claus.
But do you think he's Santa Claus? Philosophically speaking, of course.
It's one of those ideas that goes round and round in your head. Like a Snow White, is red, or when a tree falls in the forest. Does it make a sound?
Of course it does.
Does it? If you're standing there, it would, because the vibrations would bounce off your eardrums. But if there were no eardrums in the vicinity, could it still make a sound?
I've heard this argument before, but it could never be proven.
Or disproven. It's all in your perception. If nobody believed in Santa Claus, maybe he wouldn't exist. But millions of children all over the world do believe in Santa Claus. And Chris believes he is Santa Claus.
He surely does.
We might say it's a case of, I think, therefore I am.
You're still speaking philosophically, I assume.
When you live long enough and deal with the world long enough, you find that philosophically is really the only way to understand things. They make better sense that way.
Well, unfortunately, we have to be realistic in the retail business.
I understand. But I must tell you, Chris is perfectly harmless. There are thousands of people living quite charming lives under similar delusions.
I'm glad you said delusions.
As I said, I've known Chris for years, and he's absolutely harmless. His delusion is a positive one. He just wants to bring happiness and the real spirit of Christmas to everyone. I just worry about him sometimes.
Why?
Chris is an old man, and I'd hate to think of him wandering the streets of New York without a home to go to. If someone could just keep an eye on him, I mean, after the store closes.
You mean he has no place to live?
He can't stay at Maplewood anymore. They've discharged him.
Well, I'll see what I could do, Dr. Pierce. I appreciate your insights. I actually feel much more at ease after this conversation.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. I know you won't regret having Chris on your staff. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Ah, Mr. Kringle, is it?
Yes, that's one of the names I'm called.
I'm Alberta Sawyer, Macy's vocational guidance counselor.
How do you do?
That remains to be seen. Mr. Kringle, as you are a new employee, I'd like to talk to you before the customers start coming in. Store policy requires that I ask you some questions. Now, have you enjoyed your work here so far?
Well, I wouldn't exactly call it work. I usually do this kind of thing for free.
I see. So you normally promise gifts to children around Christmas time for free.
I do my best.
And how do you propose to provide all those gifts yourself?
Well, I live with my reindeer.
Excuse me?
Well, I live with the zookeeper over at Central Park. I take care of the reindeer for him.
I see. Well, let's move on. Mr. Kringle, how much is 3 times 5?
Don't you know?
I want you to tell me.
Well, it's 15, of course.
Very good. Now I would like you to take your hand
To touch
and...
touch my hand with alternating hands like this, and to also do this with each opposing hand. Anything else you want me to try?
Who was the first president of the United States?
George Washington. And who was a vice president under Grover Cleveland?
I have no idea. I'm conducting the interview if you don't mind, Mr. Kringle. Now, are you married?
Is that a proposal?
How many fingers am I holding up?
3. I see you bite your nails. Do these interviews make you nervous, Miss Sawyer?
That's none of your concern. Now, how much is 3 times 5?
15, same as last time. You know, unconscious repetition is a sign of overworking stress. Maybe you should take some time off, Miss Sawyer. I could talk to Mr. Macy about it, see if I can get you some time off.
That'll be all, Mr. Kringle. Where is she? Oh, that man, he definitely has a rampant psychosis.
Who?
That Santa Claus, that Chris Kringle.
Come on, Sawyer. His doctor was just here. She assured me he's perfectly harmless.
Perfectly harmless? Cases like these often become violent when their delusions are attacked. If that man is allowed to continue to work here, I will accept no responsibility for the consequences.
That's all right, Miss Sawyer. I'll take complete responsibility. No need to worry.
If I'm the psychologist around here, my opinion should be respected. If something happens and he becomes violent, I will be the first to say, I told you so. Oh! Watch it!
What was that all about?
Sawyer did a psychological evaluation on our Santa and apparently didn't get anywhere. She seems to think that Chris could become violent.
Well, that would be a disaster.
But I also had an interview with Dr. Pierce from the Maplewood home where Chris used to live. And she said Chris is just a kindly old man and he never hurt anybody.
Do you believe the doctor?
She said she's known him for a few years. Sawyer only talked to him for a few minutes.
But why did the doctor seek you out?
She seems fond of Chris and is rather protective of him. She's glad he got a job as Santa, but she's worried about the hours after the store closes. She said she wants me to keep an eye on it.
I think that's a splendid idea. And you're just the person to do it.
What are you suggesting? And not have him stay with me? No way. No. I have enough responsibility with Susan, and at night, I like to unwind.
Well, maybe I could help out. We do have a spare room. Chris could stay with us.
You're a jewel, Shelley. I was hoping I could count on you.
Not so fast, Mrs. Wardle. I have to talk it over with my husband first. It's his home, too. I'll tell you what. You have Chris over for dinner tonight, and that'll give me time to talk to Arthur. I'll try to convince him that as part of our Christmas spirit, we should have this nice old man over as a temporary house guest. I don't think I'll mention that he thinks he is Santa Claus.
What do Arthur think when he's introduced to Kris Kringle?
Oh. Well, I'll have to think a way around that one.
Well, I appreciate it, Shelley. Call you later.
Please join us as we sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glowed. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call them names. They never left for Rudolph, joining any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then all the reindeer loved him, as they shouted out with glee, Yippee! Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, go down in history.
I really enjoyed our dinner tonight. Thank you for inviting me. And I thought the milk and cookies was an especially nice touch. And I really enjoyed visiting with you and Susan.
Mr. Kringle, could you show me the language you signed in the store the other day?
Susan, I'm sure Mr. Kringle is tired.
I'd like to talk to Susan.
Oh, well, please excuse me, I've got to call Miss Shellhammer.
Susan, do you have a lot of friends in the building?
Yes, but I don't see them very much. The games they play are so childish. Today they were being animals. They asked me what kind of animal I want to be, but I didn't want to be an animal. It's so dumb.
Why didn't you tell them you were a lion or a bear?
Because I'm not a lion. I'm a girl.
Well, they're not animals either, just pretending.
That's what makes the game so silly.
Susan, do you know what imagination is?
That's when you see things that aren't really there.
No, it's much more than that. Imagination is a place you can visit. It's a wonderful country. You know nations like Germany, Japan, and Russia? Well, imagination is a lot like that. But the wonderful thing about that country is once you're there, you can do anything you want.
Not anything.
How would you like to fly to Mars and be back by dinner time?
Oh, that wouldn't be possible.
Or be the Statue of Liberty in the morning and fly with a flock of geese in the afternoon? It's actually quite simple. You want to give it a try?
Well, I guess I could try.
Okay, let's try something simple. How about a bird flying in the sky?
I wouldn't know how to do that,
Sure you
Mr.
will.
Kringle.
Stand up. Okay, now flap your arms like wings. Now turn. There you go. And turn again. Keep flapping. And now look at you. You're soaring like a bird. Wow.
I did, Mr. Kringle. That was fun.
So, Susan, if you were to believe I'm Santa Claus, what would you like for me to bring you for Christmas?
Can you bring big presents?
Well, since this is a land of imagination, it could be any size.
I want a real house for Mother and me, and a real father to live in it with us.
Oh my, that's a very tall order.
Well, if you're really Santa, you can do it. And if you can't, then you're just a nice man with a white beard like my mother said.
Susan, not everybody gets their wish. That doesn't mean there's not a Santa Claus. Some children wish for things they can't have, like a real locomotive. Or little girls wish for baby brothers and sisters when their parents can't take care of them. Sometimes you have to make things happen. Like you have to be like a better, or you have to love somebody before you can get your Santa wish.
But I've wished for a father and a house for such a long time, Mr. Kringle.
And the more you wish for it, the more it will mean when it comes. If everybody got their wish right away, life wouldn't be anywhere half as fun. So you see, Susan, that's why sometimes wishes don't come true.
A father and a house are really all I want. Not toys.
Hi, Susan. How's my favorite girl? Oh, hi. I'm Fred Gailey. I live in the next apartment.
Oh, nice to meet you, Mr. Gailey. I'm Chris Kringle.
Oh, yes, I know.
Susan, it's time for bed. Oh, hi, Fred. Have you two met?
Yes, we've introduced each other.
Mr. Kringle, I found you a place to stay. Oh, there's my phone. Please just wait a moment.
You looking for a place to stay?
Well, I'm staying at the zoo right now.
I've never met anyone who lived at the zoo before.
The zoo is no place to stay. Why don't you come stay with me? I have an extra bed in my apartment and I could use the company.
Well, that's very kind of you, Mr. Gailey. Susan, why don't you go tell your mom we've made an arrangement? I don't want her to worry about me.
Okay, Mr. Kringle. I like the idea of you staying with Fred. He's my friend, and it's right next door.
Good night, Susan. I like the idea too, Mr. Gailey.
Call me Fred, please.
Okay, Fred. I like the idea of being closer to Susan, so it'll give me the opportunity to work on her Christmas gift.
I am really fond of that little girl.
I see that. And how about her mother?
I like her, but I'm afraid that neighbor and babysitter to Susan is as close as Doris wants me to get.
You invite her out.
I do, but Doris doesn't socialize since her divorce. She just focuses on her career and Susan. It just seems like she doesn't trust love anymore.
Oh, the same old sad story. But I think we could do something about that.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, show interest in her. Be aware of her feelings. Above all, have faith in her.
I've tried all that. It hasn't done any good so far.
Trust me, we can do it.
Mr. Kringle, I've found you a place to stay, and it's right near the store, so you could get to work easily. Is that okay?
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Walker, but I've agreed to stay with Mr. Gailey.
Mr. Gailey.
Yes, now if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and get my things from the zoo, and I'll be back shortly.
Wait, I'll call you a cab.
No, there is a cab waiting for me right now outside.
I should warn you about him, Fred. I don't suppose you know he's been diagnosed with suffering from delusions. His doctors asked me to keep an eye on him. He should not be left unsupervised.
Aside from the fact that he seems perfectly capable of taking care of himself, he'll only be next door. Between the two of us, we should have the situation covered.
Well, that's not quite all.
Oh?
That Santa Claus bit? I don't want Susan being influenced. I thought I made that clear to you.
I understand your concerns, Doris, but I like Chris. Why not try it out for a couple days? And if the arrangement doesn't work, we'll find somewhere else for him to stay. In the meantime, I'll take full responsibility for it. Trust me, Doris. Deal?
Well, okay.
This way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now you dear old man, whisper what you'll bring to me. Tell me what you can. When the clock is striking 12, when I'm fast asleep, down the chimney frolic glass, with your pack, your creep. All the stockings you will find.
Is everything all right?
Did Chris come back here?
No. Isn't he with you?
When he didn't come back, I went to the zoo to look for him, and the man there said he had already gathered his things and left an hour ago.
Oh, good heavens, Fred. Something's happened to him.
Oh, it's all my fault. After I said you could trust me.
I don't want to blame you.
Shouldn't have let him get his things by himself.
The important thing now is to make sure he's all right. I'd never forgive myself if something happened to him.
I'm surprised. I thought you didn't like Chris.
It's not a matter of like.
I was hoping this was a sign that what he stands for was starting to get to you.
No, but this is New York City, you know?
Come on, Doris. Who's gonna mug Santa Claus?
I'm calling the police.
Look, Doris, if Chris can get here from the North Pole, then New York shouldn't be any problem for him.
I'm serious, Fred. If he was all right, he would have called by now. He must know I'd be worried. Why? What's wrong, sweetheart?
I dreamed that Mr. Kringle went away, and there wasn't any more Christmas.
Susan, you know that dreams aren't real.
It was only a dream, Susan. Mr. Kringle will be fine. And we'll never lose Christmas as long as we have each other. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, young virgin mother and
I don't know what I would have done without you tonight, Fred. I don't think that I've ever shown my appreciation for your friendship and the way you care for Susan. Please, forgive me for getting so upset with you.
Thank you for coming up to me.
I know.
Thank you for recognizing that I'm right here with you.
Oh, excuse me. I'll come back at a more convenient time.
Fred, you're back.
Where were you? You were very worried.
Well, I was in South Carolina with some friends.
Well, I'm so relieved.
And my drink was true. Santa really did go away.
But then he came back because your mother cared about him.
That's a nice thought. Anyway, everything's all right now, Susan. Come on, I'll tuck you back in bed.
Good night again, Susan.
Did you enjoy my absence?
Boy, what?
What are you talking about? Doris went nearly crazy with worry.
Did it make the two of you closer together?
Well, yes.
That's exactly what I thought would happen.
You old fox. You had us worried on purpose. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Not a bit. Now, I will take my leave so that you can continue to put her worries to rest.
Here. It's the first door on the right. I am happy you're staying with me, Chris, though I must confess, I do have an ulterior motive.
No?
I'm finally going to learn the answer to the question that's been plaguing the world for centuries. Does Santa Claus sleep with his whiskers inside or outside the covers?
Always sleep with them out. Cold air makes them grow.
Believe it or not, I'm glad he's staying at your place. I feel better about having him safe and near. I, like having you near, too.
Me too.
I think you're
gentlemen, a very special Christmas delight. Macy's Elf Theater.
Once upon a mountaintop, 3 little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars and said,
I want to hold treasure. I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I'll be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world.
The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean.
I want to be traveling mighty waters and carrying powerful kings. I'll be the strongest ship in the world.
The third little tree looked down into the valley below where busy men and women worked in a busy town.
I don't want to leave the mountaintop at all. I want to go so tall that when people stop to look at me, they'll raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world.
Years passed, the rain came, the sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountaintop. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said,
This tree's beautiful. It's perfect for me.
With the swoop of her shining axe, the first tree fell. Then the first tree said,
Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest. I shall have wonderful treasures.
The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said,
This tree is strong. It is perfect for me.
With the swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. Then the second tree said,
Now I shall sail mighty waters. I shall be a strong ship for mighty kings.
The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven, but the woodcutter never even looked up.
Any kind of tree will do for me.
With the swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. Then the first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought her to a carpenter's shop.
With this tree, I'll make a feed box for the animals.
The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold and was not filled with treasure.
Oh no, I'm coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals.
The second little tree smiled when the woodcutter took her to a shipyard.
Now I'll be the strongest ship in the world. Now I'll carry mighty kings.
But no mighty sailing ship was made that day. Instead, the one strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple boat.
Oh no, I'm just a simple fishing boat. I'm too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river. I can only sail on a little lake.
The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her up in strong beams and left her in a lumber yard.
What happened? All I ever wanted was to stay on the mountaintop and point to God.
Many, many days and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, a golden starlight appeared over the first tree as the young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box.
I wish I could build a cradle for him.
The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood.
This manger is beautiful.
Oh, I am holding the greatest treasure in the world.
One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon, a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The little tree shuddered.
Oh, I'm a simple boat. I don't have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and rain.
The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said,
Peace.
The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun.
Oh, I am carrying the King of Heaven and Earth.
One Wednesday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten wood pile.
What's happening? Where are you taking me? Why are all these people angry? Why are you doing this to this man?
She shuddered when a soldier nailed a man's hands into her.
What's happening? I feel ugly, harsh, and cool.
But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree said,
Now I know God's love has changed everything. I feel so strong. From now on, when people see me, they'll think of God. That is better than being the tallest tree in the world.
And now, a very special honor. Mr. Macy and Mr. Blooming.
Welcome to our store, Mr. Bloomingdale. I'm so glad that we can work together in the true spirit of Christmas.
Yes, yes. You know, I was at first very jealous of your Goodwill campaign. I thought you were trying to steal Christmas business from us. But then someone reminded me that Goodwill is no private company's private property. So, we started our own Goodwill operation. And I must say, it's been most profitable for us.
That's right. Goodwill goes a lot further with everybody than competition. And now, if I could ask you to step forward, please, Mr. Kringle. This is the gentleman that I was telling you about. Mr. Kringle, you brought a very special spirit to both Macy's and to Bloomingdale stores this Christmas season. And it seems to have spread to the entire city of New York as well. Whatever your special gift, all of us at Macy's believe it is deserving of recognition and appreciation. So we would like to present you with this special token of our esteem.
Oh, I didn't know you had it in you.
Well, oh, thank you very much. This is very generous. This is going to help pay for a Christmas gift that somebody's been very kind to me. It's going to buy an x-ray machine.
A what?
For the medical facility at the Maplewood home. Dr. Pierce says they can be very helpful in some situations.
Oh, a machine like that's going to be very expensive. That check won't even begin
Let me handle this. We'll get it for you wholesale.
We'll get it for you at cost.
Well, thank you both very much.
Now, will you folks, and you too, Mr. Macy, and Mr. Kringle, will you come over to Bloomingdale's and take some more pictures in front of my store? And since you brought extra business to Bloomingdale's, there'll be a check waiting for them there too. That ought to help pay for that expensive machine.
Pinch me, Fred. I simply don't believe it. I never thought I'd see Mr. Macy shaking hands with Mr. Bloomingdale. It's surely a miracle.
I don't know how he does it.
Who?
Chris.
Oh, maybe he got in some stardust while he was sailing through the air with his reindeer and sprinkled it on everyone.
Doris, your imagination is coming to life.
Not really, Fred. I was only kidding.
No, you weren't. Don't be afraid to admit it. And here, I have a little presentation of my own to make.
What is it? Oh, Fred, it's beautiful.
Let me. I went to Cartier's to look for necklaces, and they sent me over to Tiffany's. And while at Tiffany's, the clerk asked me if I had seen the collection at Cartier's.
It's happening all over town. I never thought when I saw that jolly bearded man at the parade that he would revolutionize the entire merchandising business.
Well, let's celebrate at dinner together.
Oh, Fred, I'd love to, but I have to work tonight.
Oh, really?
Really. Unfortunately, it's been planned for weeks. Miss Sawyer, our vocational guidance counselor, is giving a lecture this evening to our employees.
What's the topic?
Well, this is embarrassing. Please don't tell Chris.
Exploding the myth of Santa Claus. Open discussion following the lecture. Oh, dear, we're gonna have to show this to Mr. Kringle.
Come on, let's go.
Please join us as we sing Jingle Bells. 3, 2, 1. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Ha, ha!
it gives me great pleasure to introduce Miss Alberta Sawyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are here to explore the nature of the Santa Claus myth. By the time this lecture is concluded, I feel confident that you will share in my heartfelt convictions that this legend, which has been handed down over the centuries, is an outrageous atrocity, and it has been detrimental to generation after generation of innocent young persons of all genders. The symbolic figure of Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, or Kris Kringle, whatever we may call him, represents the classic expression of the wishful dreaming of all children. Instead of teaching children that the things they want in life come for free, they should be taught, while they are still in their formative years, the value of the work ethic that has made this country great.
Yes, that's right.
They must realize this is a hard and competitive world, and if they are to succeed, they must learn the difference between myth and reality.
Yes, yes.
Mature adults who continue to perpetuate this fable reveal themselves as incomplete and neurotic personalities who have failed to adjust to the stringent demands of our culture.
Yes.
Not only have they damaged their children's future, they are harming their own existence. A child who does not understand the marked difference between fact and fiction will grow up still clinging to infantile fantasies and never be able to face the cruel truths of today's world. Why do we do this to ourselves, we ask?
Don't ask.
To compensate for feelings of guilt.
Ah, that's it.
That's why we perpetuate the myth of Santa Claus. Parents who've neglected their children 364 days of the year and pick this one day to overwhelm the kiddos with gifts. And parents and grandparents who stage the Christmas charade and talk of Santa are doing so. They're reenacting their own infantile emotions, which they have never outgrown.
Yes, yes.
Therefore, I suspect that this vaunted spirit of giving is nothing but selfishness in disguise. In fact, far from doing any good in this world, this vicious myth, well, it's done more harm. It's done more harm than...
Now, just a minute there.
I believe I am conducting the lecture, Mr. Kringle.
I believe there was going to be an open discussion.
The discussion will take place after the lecture's over.
The lecture's over.
Mrs. Walker, I refuse to continue until this blatant fraud is removed from the platform.
Chris, we have to.
Mrs. Walker, I'm sorry, but I can't sit here and listen to the depressing absurdity of this woman's propaganda.
Absurdity, huh?
Fraud, am I?
Don't you threaten me. Mrs. Walker, I told you he would be fine. Oh! He hit me!
I did no such thing.
All right, everyone, let's calm down. Alberta, Chris.
Are you going to allow this dangerous maniac to assault your employee?
But he's quite harmless, Miss Sawyer.
Maybe we should let the police decide that.
And that concludes this evening's lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for attending, and Merry Christmas. I'll handle this.
I'm perfectly capable of defending myself, Mrs. Walker.
Please, Chris, for my sake.
Okay, I'll see you back at the store tomorrow.
No, could you wait in the hall for me? I'll talk to you in a minute.
Society has ways of dealing with your kind. Mrs. Walker, I told you he would get violent. In cases like this, there's no warning. They could strike at any time.
I hardly think
This
that
could really backfire on Macy's if Bloomingdale's or the press should find out that our Santa is possibly dangerous. The repercussions could be devastating.
Kringle is a stick of dynamite with a short fuse, and I warned you. Oh, thank goodness I was the victim of his lunacy and not some poor, defenseless child dangling on his knee.
We should do something at once.
But he's just a kindly old man.
Are you sure he even touched you at that cave?
Yes, and he will again. He has evidently suffered a sudden change of personality and has entered a violent stage.
But Dr. Pierce assured me not such a thing could happen. She said a delusion is a positive one.
Dr. Pierce is not a psychiatrist.
And neither are you.
Well, in that case, it is your responsibility to have him thoroughly examined by a competent psychiatrist at once.
I agree.
Well, I don't. Chris has been examined many times according to Dr. Pierce.
Then one more time won't make a difference. If the psychiatrist finds him competent, then he can come right back and resume his job.
And if he doesn't, then you would most assuredly have done the right thing.
Well,
now the only thing now is to get him out of here without creating a scene. In his present condition, he would most certainly react with violence.
Oh, you'll have to explain it to him, Doris. He trusts you.
I simply can't hurt the old man.
Never mind, Mrs. Walker. I won't need you. I know just what I'll do.
What are you going to do?
Well, I'll apologize and I'll invite him to dinner and encourage him to have an examination by a competent psychiatrist in the morning.
Well, all right, Alberta, but call me later and let me know how you worked it out.
Mr. Kringle, are you still there? I shouldn't have said the things I said. Are you all right? I'm truly sorry about our misunderstanding. Could I take you to dinner and then I'd be happy to drop you off wherever you're staying?
Well, I accept your apology, Miss Sawyer, and thank you for much the dinner invitation, but I believe I'll go with Miss Walker.
No, Chris, that's all right. It'll give me time to get more shopping done. I'll leave with Miss Showhammer and I'll see you in the morning.
Shall we go?
Can you give me a moment to talk to the elves?
Of course, I'll go collect my things.
Okay, I've been thinking. You know how sometimes a person may be bad even though they might have some good feelings in them?
Does everybody, including Miss Sawyer?
Well, sometimes the good in people are buried so deep, it's difficult to come out. And when it does come out, we lack the ability to recognize it because we blocked our willingness to see it. Miss Sawyer sees things very narrowly because she lacks the ability to dream. That means she can't see anything better than her limited view.
Is there help for her?
Of course there is. I mean, she did apologize for her angry words. I don't know how sincere she was, but we must encourage her good feelings any way we can.
What if she was being honest?
That means that the bad at that point was stronger than the good.
You shouldn't go with him, Mr. Kringle.
Not so fast. We need to recognize the good intentions in her words. Having said them, even she deep down must believe them.
I'm calling a vote for the elves on whether Mr. Kringle should go with Miss Sawyer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed!
Well, I'm in charge of me, so the ayes have it. Now, I'm going to give Miss Sawyer a chance. Now, you guys, don't worry. I can take care of myself. You guys go back to the store, and I'll see you tomorrow.
If you say so, sir, but please be careful.
So, Miss Sawyer, where shall we go to dinner?
Please join us as we sing Up on the Housetop. 1, 3, 2,
How could she have done this? How could she have done this to me?
Doris didn't send you here, Chris. She thought Sawyer was taking you to dinner.
She must have just been humoring me. I was beginning to believe that she started to believe.
How did it happen that you went with her to Bellevue?
She tricked me. We were at dinner and she was making small talk. Suddenly she jumped up and she said, "Let's go." And she put me in the waiting taxi. Two men stepped in on either side of me and one of them said, "Bellevue." Sawyer didn't even come along.
Didn't they give you the usual sanity test that you know by heart?
Yes, the usual routine, but I was so crushed that Doris did this to me that I failed it deliberately, and so they committed me.
Doris didn't know what Sawyer was up to, Chris. She agreed that the two of you would have dinner and only talk about you seeing a psychiatrist.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that, but why didn't Doris come along?
She was afraid of hurting you, Chris.
Well, she did hurt me. I'm just an old man she feels sorry for.
She feels more than that, I'm sure.
No, she had doubts. Otherwise, she would have been here. If it was you, she'd been here in a heartbeat.
She certainly had doubts at first, but she was really beginning to open up and believe. I think her belief might still have been new and fragile, and Sawyer may have tipped her the other way, Chris, but I'm sure Doris wouldn't want you to stay here.
It's not just Doris. It's not just Doris. It's Sawyer. She's dishonest, and I don't want to say the other awful things that come to me, but she's the normal one. If that's how sane people behave, I'm going to stay in here with these honest people.
Nonsense, Chris. You're quite sane, and a lot saner than most.
She's out there, and I'm in here. Oh, I should have listened to the elves. I thought there was some good in that woman I could touch. Now I'm going to be spending the rest of my life at Mount Hope, just like Dr. Pierce said.
Chris, don't be so gloomy. You're not living up to your own philosophy. You can't just think of yourself.
I'm thinking of myself?
You can't give up. What happens to you matters to a lot of people. People like me who have faith in you and what you stand for. And people like Susan who are just now beginning to learn about faith.
Well, maybe. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right at that. I should be ashamed. By golly, I am. Fred, let's get out of here.
Hold on, Chris. It's not that easy. There's some legal matters that need to be cleared up.
You ask me not to be discouraged? Don't you be discouraged. I have faith in you. I know you can do it.
Really? Then I'll do it. I'll get you out of here.
No one knows.
Yay.
No. I think someone's looking for her ticket, so I'm going to give her a minute. Yeah, 625-355. Do you have that number? Yes? Okay.
Good morning. What a beautiful day. And it's been a good year for you too, hasn't it, John?
Yes, it's been a very good year for me. I see no reason why that spring election won't fall into my lap. Perhaps my Christmas present to Mrs. Hopper ought to be something more elaborate this year. Maybe that trip to Bermuda.
That ought to be real nice, sir. Miss Myra from the Attorney General's office is here to see you, Your Honor.
Ah, good. Show her in.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, Miss Mara.
Merry Christmas, Your Honor. Just some routine paperwork here. I've checked it over carefully. Everything should be in order. The psychiatric report from Bellevue is attached right there on top.
Bellevue, eh? Let's see, age is unknown. Old man, eh?
Very old, Your Honor.
I suppose I should read all of this.
You can take my word for it. This old man, he calls himself Kris Kringle. He thinks he's Santa Claus.
Uh-oh.
And Mr. Gary is here to see you, Your Honor.
What does he want?
Said he's representing a person named Kris Kringle.
You better send him in. Santa Claus has a lawyer? I don't know.
Practice space, sir.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Fred Gailey. I represent Mr. Kringle. I believe you've received the papers.
Yes, it's just a matter of signing the consent, it seems. And I'll put the old fella out of harm's way for the rest of his life.
Oh, no. If you don't mind, Your Honor, there are indications that Mr. Kringle has been victimized. That's why I requested a proper hearing so that I could provide witnesses.
I thought you said this was clear cut.
I thought it was. This is the first I'm hearing of any challenges.
The psychiatric evaluation, Mr. Gailey. There's a clear diagnosis. Let's see here. I saw it. Yes, right here. In addition to his delusion, he became violent. That seems like a pretty clear basis for commitment to me, don't you think?
That's a misrepresentation, Your Honor. That's why I requested a hearing.
Thinking about court time, cost to the taxpayers, Mr. Gailey.
Your Honor may sign the commitment papers if you wish, sir. But I must advise I will submit a writ of habeas corpus.
That won't be necessary. Might as well have a competency hearing. Let's see here. Now is next Monday at 10 a.m. Is that all right with you?
Fine. And thank you, Your Honor.
Merry Christmas, Miss Mara.
Just when I thought I was getting my calendar cleared for Christmas vacation. I'll work it in, Your Honor.
Well, very good. See you next Monday, then.
Have a good day, Finley.
Thanks, man. Same to you.
Who do I see about getting the Kringle commitment case dropped?
Kringle's commitment case has been challenged, Miss,
Sawyer.
Yes. Wouldn't you know, his certification of insanity is unequivocal. But even Bellevue's word isn't good enough.
Oh, I need this case dropped right away. Isn't there anything we can do?
Oh, goodness, no. The hearing has been scheduled for Monday.
A public hearing. Attorneys. No. Mr. Macy has demanded that I get Santa Claus back. This is disastrous.
Don't worry. This, kid, Gailey Kringle's lawyer? He's just a young gun trying to get himself a little bit of publicity.
Publicity? My job. Gone. No Christmas bonus? Oh, maybe Mrs. Walker can talk to Mr. Gailey.
Oh my gosh. Good evening,
folks. This is Sydney Stewart with your New York Evening News on your channel, your favorite channel, WXYZ. Today's top story is a Sandy hearing of, y'all won't believe this, Kris Kringle, also known as, you guessed it, Santa Claus. It seems that Macy's St. Nick says he is the real Santa Claus, and the state of New York wants to put him away for saying so. This could result in a lot of disappointed children and empty stockings on Christmas morning. We'll keep you informed on what happens to Santa in the New York judicial system as the hearing progresses.
Hello, Finley. Is the judge in today?
Yep.
Yeah. Hello, Henry. How you been? Henry, you know I've been a friend of yours for many years now, as well as your political manager. Now, we've been successful in keeping you in this here bench, haven't we?
Yes, Charlie. I'm very grateful to you. I like the seat. I'd like to keep it a while.
Alrighty then. Well, we got elections coming up in the spring, right?
I'm ready, Charlie. Is there any problem?
Henry, I've been reading the papers. Seriously, are you really going to have Santa Claus in your courtroom?
Yes. Is this something you'd like me to have him bring you for Christmas?
No. Actually, Henry, I'd like to give you a Christmas present. How about a trip? A vacation? Now! Take Madeline and escape to Bermuda, like you've been talking about.
I'd love to. I won't be able to get away for a while. The calendar's too full.
No. I mean right away. You're a little run down, Henry. You ought to take a few weeks off.
Nonsense. I've never felt better in my life.
Go fishing. Go hiking. Go anywhere.
But why should I?
Because this Santa Claus case is explosive, Henry. You've got to get out of it somehow.
You can't just walk out on a case. It's all arranged.
Then have a sudden illness. Let another judge handle it. Somebody who isn't coming up for re-election right away.
Charlie, relax. I'm an honest man. I wouldn't fake an illness. Besides, maybe this case will be good publicity for the campaign.
Good publicity? You'd be a regular Pontius Pilate before you even start your campaign. You'd be a villain to every little kid who believes in Santa Claus.
They don't vote.
But their parents do. Every father or mother wants to tell their kid why Santa Claus went to jail is going to hate you.
Not jail, state hospital.
Oh my God, same thing. Wake up, Henry.
Did you hear this thing about trying Santa Claus for sanity?
Yeah, I saw it. This guy's crazy, don't you?
What was that? I didn't hear about it.
Yes, it's so close and so Kris Kringle. Gotta be nuts.
I don't know. Why shouldn't there be a real Santa Claus? I think it's a nice idea.
Even if he isn't real, I just hope they don't put the old guy away. He's no harm to anybody.
Anyone of all are chosen to believe. Just sing along.
The New York State Court is now in session. The Honorable Henry X. Hopper presiding.
You may be seated. Let us proceed.
As the psychiatric evaluation has already been submitted into evidence, Your Honor, the prosecution wishes to call its first witness, a Mr. Kris Kringle.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
You may be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Would you mind stating your name for the record?
Chris Kringle.
And where do you live?
Well, I believe that's what this hearing will determine.
A very sound answer, Mr. Kringle.
And do you believe yourself to be Santa Claus?
Of course.
The state rests their case, Your Honor.
Would you like to cross-examine the witness, young man? I believe he was employed to play Santa Claus. Perhaps he didn't understand the question.
No, I understood the question perfectly.
Oh. Well, in view of the witness's statement, do you still wish to enter a defense, young man?
I do, Your Honor. I'm fully aware that this man believes himself to be Santa Claus. In fact, that's the basis of the entire case against him. The state has declared that this man is not sane just because he thinks he's Santa Claus.
Well, I believe that's a reasonable and logical premise to such a declaration, Mr. Haley.
It would be, Your Honor, if you, or I, or Miss Mara here thought that we were Santa Claus.
Anybody who thinks they're Santa Claus is clearly out of touch with reality. Of course he is insane.
Not necessarily. You believe yourself to be Judge Harper, and nobody here questions your sanity because you are Judge Harper.
I know all about myself, young man. Mr. Kringle is the subject of this hearing.
I was only making a point, Your Honor.
And your point is?
I wish to clarify that if a person is a person they believe themselves to be, just as you are, sir, then they are just as sane.
Oh, of course, but he isn't.
Oh, but he is, Your Honor.
Is what?
I intend to prove that Mr. Kringle is Santa Claus.
This hearing is adjourned until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Oh, that's...
I've read the evening paper, Fred, and I'm worried. You seem to be fighting such a hopeless battle.
Actually, I'm rather confident. All this publicity's working for us. Public sympathy's obviously behind Chris. I think we have a good chance.
But what about your law firm? How are they going to react to you taking this case on?
Yeah. Well, old Hayslip, the senior partner, called me in this afternoon. We are an old, established firm with prestige and dignity, Mr. Gailey. We cannot afford to have one of our junior members making a public spectacle of himself. We are not in the business to prove some old crank is Santa Claus. In other words, unless I drop the case, they drop me.
Then you'll have to give it up, won't you?
Can't walk out on a client now. You wouldn't want me giving up on Chris, would you?
Fred, I really care very deeply for you. And I admire and respect your courage in taking this on. But I don't want to see you lose your position.
It's true. I might.
That would be irresponsible, Fred. People have to be realistic. I've certainly learned that. You can't give up your job for some sentimental win.
It's more than a win, Doris.
Stop dreaming, Fred.
There's something really beautiful about that old man. Very compelling, too. Representing Chris is the right thing to do. I won't let him down. And I'm a damn good lawyer, too. Come on, Doris, have faith in me.
I do, but
It isn't a matter of having faith. You're bound to lose the case. That's just common sense.
Doris, faith is believing in things when common sense tells you not to. Your problem is that you have too much common sense.
Well, it's a good thing one of us does. Comes in quite an asset sometimes.
Can't you get over being afraid? Just let yourself believe in people. People like Chris. In laughter, in joy, and love, and all the other intangibles.
You can't pay rent with intangibles.
And you can't live a life without them. At least, I can. I thought Chris and I had broken through your armor, Doris. I hoped you'd be ready to be more open-minded and open-hearted. Well, there's not much he's talking then, is there? I guess we don't have many thoughts or feelings in common, do we?
Right. Suppose not.
And there's nothing more to say.
It's ironic. With all my common sense, I really thought it'd work out this time.
So did I.
Goodbye, Fred.
As my first witness, I call R.H. Macy to the stand.
Watch your step, sir. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated.
Are you R.H. Macy, owner of one of the largest department stores in New York City?
Yes, and 51 stores nationwide.
Right. And is Mr. Kringle one of your employees?
Yes, he is.
Do you believe him to be sane?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe him to be truthful?
Remember, you're under oath, Mr. Macy.
Miss Mara, you will have a chance to cross-examine him after Mr. Gailey is finished.
Perhaps I can ask Miss Mara's question for her. Mr. Macy, do you believe this man to be Santa Claus?
Yes, I do.
No further questions.
Miss Mara, do you wish to... You may step down.
You're fired.
As my next witness, I call Dr. Pierce.
Dr. Pierce, please take the stand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Dr. Pierce, you're the resident physician at the Maplewood home, correct? And you've known Chris Kringle for many years, is that right?
Yes.
Do you believe him to be Santa Claus?
Yes.
Would you mind saying that a little louder, Doctor? I'd like the court to hear.
Yes, I do.
Now, Doctor, you are a woman of science, are you not? Have you any rational, scientific reasoning for your opinion?
Miss Mara, I must caution you again. You may question the witness when Mr. Gailey is done.
Yes, Your Honor.
Dr. Pierce, Did you express a Christmas wish to Mr. Kringle several weeks ago?
Yes.
What was it?
Well, I wanted an X-ray machine for the medical facility at the Maplewood home.
And what arrived at Maplewood yesterday?
An X-ray machine?
Where did it come from?
The card said, "Merry Christmas," from Kris Kringle.
Thank you, Doctor. Your witness.
Thank you. Dr. Pierce, it is my understanding that lots of presents come with cards that say, "From Santa Claus." Do you know any other possible donors?
No.
Now be careful, Doctor. We are in a court of law, and only tangible facts and logical testimony can be submitted into evidence. So, could you please tell us why you believe that such an old man who has a temporary Christmas job at a department store could have possibly done that?
Because he's the only one to whom I said anything about it. And when I expressed the wish, I said, if I get that X-ray machine, I'll know you're Santa Claus. And I got it. And I do.
Order. Miss Mara, is any further? You may step down.
As my next witness, I call Jane Duncan to the stand.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Ja, Ed. Waarheen, ma'am? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do?
You may be seated.
Oh.
Miss Duncan, you're the zookeeper at the Central Park Zoo, are you not?
I am.
Jane, tell us about Chris.
Oh, Chris. He has a wonderful way with the reindeer. It's uncanny. You know, I've been working at the zoo for a while now, and I'm the antelope person. I work with antelope, but, you know, I've always had trouble with the reindeer. The only time I can get near them is when they are restrained. Yet, these same reindeer will walk right up to Mr. Kringle, and they just eat right out of his hand.
Objection, Your Honor. This is irrelevant and immaterial. Not to mention ridiculous. Mr. Gailey is making a circus out of these proceedings. Does he plan to have the reindeer come up and testify next, for heaven's sakes? Is there or is there not a person of Santa Claus? Everybody knows no.
Order in the court.
Your Honor, may I ask Miss Mara a question?
Yes.
All the witnesses here have testified that not only is there a Santa Claus, but that he's sitting in this courtroom. Can you provide any positive proof that there is no Santa Claus?
Well, no. And I don't intend to try. This isn't a nursery. This is a New York State courthouse, for heaven's sakes. We are making a mockery of the entire proceeding. Is there or is there not a Santa Claus? Your Honor, I ask for an immediate ruling.
Well, the court will take a short recess to consider the matter.
All rise.
Okay. Look here, Andrew. I don't care what you decide about old Whisker Puss out there. But if you officially rule that there's no Santa Claus, you might as well just start looking for a chicken ranch somewhere. We won't even be able to put you in the primaries.
But I'm a sane person, a responsible official. I've taken an oath. How can I go in there and say there's a Santa Claus, Charlie? If I do, I'll have me derobed and try me for insanity.
Now you listen to me, Henry. Do you have any idea how many millions of dollars worth of toys are produced each and every year? Toys that wouldn't be sold if it weren't to Santa Claus? Have you ever heard of the National Association of Manufacturers? How do you think they would like your ruling? And what about the people they employ to make those toys? Union members, Henry, they're gonna love you. And they're gonna save their votes. Then there are the department stores and the candy companies and the Christmas card artists and printers. And what about the Salvation Army? They got a Santa Claus in every corner. And it's the biggest source of income. I tell you, Henry, if you rule that there's no Santa Claus, you can kind of just gain 2 votes. Yours and that lawyer Mara's.
1. Mara's a Republican.
Oh, that's...
You may be seated. The question of Santa Claus is by and large a matter of opinion. There are many who firmly believe in him, many that do not. The tradition of the American justice system demands that I keep a broad and unprejudiced view on such a controversial matter. Therefore, this court intends to keep an open mind. And I will hear evidence supporting either opinion.
Your Honor, I believe I have further evidence. I called Jane Mara to the stand.
Who? Me?
Miss Janet Mara.
Hello, Mommy.
I've got this, Finley. Janet, you do know the difference between telling a lie and telling the truth, don't you?
Of course I do. Everybody knows you shouldn't tell a lie, especially in court.
You may proceed, Miss Gailey.
Do you believe in Santa Claus, Janet?
Sure I do. He brought me a dog buggy last year, and this year he's
what does he look like?
He's sitting right over there.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Now tell me, Janet, why are you so sure there is a Santa Claus?
Because my mommy told me so. Didn't you, Mom?
And you believe your mommy, don't you, Janet? She is a truthful person.
Of course I do. My mommy wouldn't tell me something that wasn't so. Would you, Mommy?
Thank you, Janet. You may go.
Don't forget, every beauty parlor set.
You shall have it, Janet.
Your Honor, the state concedes the existence of Santa Claus. But, having so conceded, we ask that Mr. Gailey cease presenting personal opinion as evidence. I could bring in hundreds of witnesses with the opposite opinion. We therefore demand that Mr. Gailey present authoritative and tangible proof that Kris Kringle is the one and only Santa Claus.
Order, order. Point well taken, Miss Mara. I'm afraid I must agree.
Your Honor, I'm afraid I can't provide authoritative and tangible proof at this time. May I ask for an adjournment until tomorrow?
Court stands adjourned till tomorrow, 3 p.m.
All rise.
Is Mr. Kringle coming over tonight, Mother?
I'm afraid not.
He hasn't come for so long.
Susan, I don't think Mr. Kringle will ever be able to come and see us again.
Why not?
Well, it's
Because he says he's Santa Claus.
But he has to be Santa Claus. He's just like everything Santa's supposed to be. Nobody can be like Mr. Kringle except Santa Claus.
I wish you were right. He's sure going to be pretty upset if people start calling him not Santa Claus.
Then I want to write him a letter to cheer him up. What's his address, Mother?
I don't know, but I'm sure he'd get it if he sent it to the New York State Courthouse, New York City. Let's go home. I'll help you write.
Here's a new one. They write to Mr. Chris Kringle. They write to Santa Claus of the North Pole, the South Pole, Carol the Postmaster, and every other way. But this kid writes to Mr. Chris Kringle of the New York State Court. Special delivery too.
They've got him on trial down there. This Kringle guy, he claims he's Santa Claus and some DA claims he's nuts. Don't you read the papers?
Of course I read the papers. The news I want to read, the Mets and the San Francisco Giants, them's out of the playoffs.
Like I said, they've got him on trial down there. This Kringle guy, he claims he's Santa Claus and some DA claims he's nuts.
You mean, this guy, he really might be Santa Claus?
A lot of people think he is.
What's the matter with you, Lou? You ain't very bright today. This Chris Kringle guy, he's the solution to our problem.
Geez, why didn't I think of that?
Order a special truck. Order a couple of them. Get them up here right away. All this Santa Claus man we have lying around here. You got it, Al.
No. Henry, the Kringle earring has reached massive proportions. They've made blazing headlines about it.
Yes, I've seen the papers too.
So, what are you going to do about it? You can't think of your situation.
And my duty to my office.
Today's Christmas Eve. If you send Santa in that house on Christmas Eve, you might be up for a protest demonstration. Or assaulted. Or even murdered.
I know things are desperate. But if that young Gailey can come up with the slightest competent authority reference that I can use for a sanity ruling, I'll eagerly and willingly give him every possible break. You know, I've been examining that Mr. Kringle very carefully. Seems to me that he's nothing more than a very kindly old gentleman. But unless something miraculous happens, I'll have no choice but to accept the report of incompetency and have the old guy put away for life.
Just like you said.
Susan, I probably wasn't right when I told you that. We have to believe in Mr. Kringle. Have faith in him.
Then you think I'll really get my Christmas wish?
Faith is believing in things when common sense tells you not to. We have to believe or we won't get anything. You and I both have to.
I believe.
Fred, listen to this. I miss you very much, and I hope I will see you soon. I know it will come all right. I believe you are Santa Claus. And I hope you're not sad. Yours truly, Susan Walker. Oh, I believe in you too. Love, Doris. Come here, Susan. No matter how this turns out, I think I've made my mark here.
Mr. Kringle, I believe.
Susan, thank you. Thank you so much.
It will come out all right. I just know it because I believe in you.
Fred, there's no real reason for this trial. I got this letter.
Hold on to your hats, Chris. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Ovas.
You may be seated. Do you have any more evidence to produce, Mr. Gale?
I do, Your Honor. It concerns the Postal Service, an official branch of the United States government. The Post Office Department was created July 26, 1776, by the Second Continental Congress. The first Postmaster General was Benjamin Franklin. The Post Office Department was discontinued in 1971 as part of the Presidential Cabinet and converted into a separate agency which operates its own budget. Furthermore,
It is indeed gratifying to learn about the United States Postal Service, but I hardly think it has any bearings on this case.
begging your pardon, Miss Mara, but it has a great deal of bearing. Your Honor, if I may continue.
By all means.
I can quote endless details from this volume verifying that the Postal Service is an effectively run governmental organization. Moreover, it became an official branch of the United States government just 22 days after the Declaration of Independence was signed. According to its regulation, all positions are governed by civil service procedures. Promotions are based strictly on merit. Furthermore, postal regulations make it a criminal offense to deliver mail to the wrong party.
The state is second to none in its admiration for the United States Postal Service.
Will the court accept the U.S. Postal Service as a valid authority of evidence in this case?
The state will concede that the United States Postal Service is an authoritative organization.
For the record?
For the record. Anything to keep this moving along.
I wish to introduce 3 pieces of evidence, Your Honor. Let's label them Exhibits A, B, and C. These letters are addressed to Santa Claus, USA, in childish handwriting. These letters have just now been delivered to Mr. Kringle here in the building by the U.S. Postal Service. I submit, Your Honor, this is positive proof that a competent federal authority recognizes Mr. Kringle to be the one and only Santa Claus.
Order! Order!
I hardly think that 3 pieces of mail constitutes positive proof, Mr. Gailey. It is my understanding that the United States Postal Service receives thousands of such letters every year.
I have further exhibits, Your Honor, but I hesitate to produce them.
All right, young man. Bring them on. Put them here on my bench.
I'm sure we would all love to see them.
But, Your Honor,
I said to put them right here. Right here.
Very well.
What?
Your Honor, every one of these letters is addressed to Santa Claus.
The United States of America recognizes this man to be Santa Claus. This court will not dispute it. Case dismissed.
This was the best Christmas I've ever had. It was wonderful having dinner with Chris and Dr. Pierce and everyone at Maplewood.
All it needs now to make it perfect is snow.
You know, I've never had a feeling like this before. It's like, for the first time, I finally understand what you mean when you say faith is believing in things.
When common sense tells you not to.
Oh, look! It's my house! It's my house!
What does she mean by her house?
I don't know. She never mentioned anything about a house to me before.
It is a nice looking house. Could be a good real estate investment for somebody.
Yeah, suppose so.
Though it is a little big for just 2. Could be the perfect size for 3. Doris, you know I've loved you for a long time. And I've loved Susan even longer. Now don't you think it's time we...
Yes, Brian.
Maybe you should get this house for Susan.
For all of us.
Mother, it's got a swing in the backyard. Just like my dream. Just like my Christmas wish. The one I told Chris about.
Susan, Fred and I have something to tell you.
That you're getting married? I know because that was part of my Christmas wish too.
She's way ahead of us.
And look what I found inside. It was right beside a fireplace. You were right, Mommy. Mr. Kringle is Santa Claus.
No, it can't be. It must have been left by the people who moved out.
I was thinking I must have been a pretty good lawyer. I take a little old man and legally prove that he's Santa Claus, but now, well, maybe I didn't do such a wonderful thing after all.
Mrs. Warren, Mr. Gailey.
We've been trying to catch you since you left the party.
Wait, where'd you find Santa's cane?
Santa's cane?
Where'd you get it from?
That's
Where did you
awesome.
get this from?
Why is it that you were all trying to catch up to us?
We just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy
son's the one doing the filming. And Chris Kringle is my dearest friend.
Oh, is he Jack?
Jack, yes. I've been working lines with him and everything. Susan is wonderful. I dress rehearsal. I've been watching it. She's excellent.
Why is there two people as Chris Kringle?
Those are dead. Go over this way and you're fine. Okay, Tom, out.
Down here, Pat?
Move over one. We might go over.
Okay. I got some seats right here. This is my aunt and her friend, Alma. This is my music teacher. Come on down, Cindy. I should have known everybody here was No, this is, she said she's Jack's,
I'm Jack's your friend, yes.
the Santa Claus. So come on down, I have all these.
I'm just messing with you.
Okay, so I've got these.
But I,
I've got these for Jack.
oh, well, I need to make sure Pat's in and I will take these.
I've had dinner theater before, but this is really close.
Is this too close for you? Oh, gosh, no.
Yeah.
We sat here, I sat here.
Yeah, that's what I was basically saying. If you have a show with an audience, it's tricky.
So maybe they want to say, just see. Yeah, but that, because they have more people coming.
Right here was okay.
So they'll sit by you then.
Right here?
And then I saved 2 seats for up there, because, for Cliff and Sandy up there.
Oh, who else is coming?
Yep.
She's only pregnant.
No, but I knew
That's what she told me.
Remember when we went when I did it all. I did it, yeah. Yeah. right up there. With the video. Is that you?
What's good, Daddy? Economy's